Black folks spend over $70 billion during the holidays every single year, and the corporations taking our money, they won't hire us, they fund the politicians who oppress us, and they wouldn't spit on us if we were on fire. So why are we making them rich? Let me ask you something real simple. Why are we giving our Christmas money to people who dislike us? I'm serious. I need somebody to explain to me why Black America lines up every November and December to hand over billions of dollars to corporations that wouldn't hire us to save their lives, that lobby against raising the minimum wage while we're out here working 3 jobs, and that fund every single politician who votes to keep us oppressed. Make it make sense. Because here's what I know. Black Americans spend approximately $70 billion during the holiday season. $70 billion. That's not a typo. That's billion with a B. We are out here buying PlayStation 5s, designer handbags, Jordan sneakers, big screen TVs, and everything else corporations are selling. We're standing in line on Black Friday, shopping online on Cyber Monday, maxing out credit cards we can't afford to pay off, all to make sure our families have a good Christmas. And I respect that. I understand that. Family is everything, and we want to provide. But here's what those same corporations are doing with our money. Absolutely nothing for us. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie even when people do. Black Americans make up about 13% of the U.S. population. If these corporations valued us, if they respected our purchasing power, our employment at these companies should at least come close to reflecting that percentage, right? Wrong. At most major retailers, at most tech companies, at most corporations that market heavily to Black consumers, our employment numbers are disgraceful. We're talking single digits in corporate leadership. We're talking minimal representation in middle management. We're talking about companies that will put a Black face in their commercials but won't put Black people in their boardrooms. Target loves our money. Walmart loves our money. Amazon loves our money. Apple loves our money. Nike loves our money. But look at their executive teams. Look at their boards of directors. Look at who's making the decisions and cashing the big checks. It's not us. They'll take our $70 billion all day long, but they won't give us a seat at the table where they're counting it. And it gets worse, because these same corporations are the ones bankrolling the politicians who keep us down. You think it's a coincidence that the minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25 since 2009? You think it's an accident that working class people, disproportionately Black working class people, are out here struggling to survive while corporate profits hit record highs every single year? These corporations spend millions of dollars lobbying Congress to keep wages low, to bust unions, to strip away worker protections, to maintain a permanent underclass of working poor people who have no choice but to keep showing up to jobs that don't pay enough to live on. They need us desperate. They need us paycheck to paycheck. They need us so broke that we can't afford to quit, can't afford to organize, can't afford to demand better. That's not a bug in the system. That's a feature. And Black Americans are disproportionately trapped in this cycle because these corporations have bought and paid for politicians who refuse to raise the minimum wage, who refuse to support universal health care, who refuse to invest in public education, who refuse to do anything that might actually lift us out of poverty. Let me be clear about how this works, because people need to understand the game being played. These corporations donate to political campaigns. They hire lobbyists who write the actual legislation that Congress passes. They fund think tanks that shape public policy. They own media outlets that control the narrative. And all of this is designed to protect their profits at our expense. When a politician votes against raising the minimum wage, that's not because they're stupid or heartless, though they might be both. It's because Walmart and McDonald's and every other corporation that relies on cheap labor told them to vote that way. And if they don't, the campaign donations dry up and some other politician who will play ball gets funded instead. This is why we stay poor. This is why wages haven't kept up with inflation. This is why people are working full-time jobs and still need food stamps. The system is rigged, and the corporations we're giving our Christmas money to are the ones doing the rigging. Now, some of you might be thinking, LaSherika, what are we supposed to do? We still need to buy gifts. We still need to take care of our families. And you're absolutely right. But here's what I'm saying. We don't have to give our money to corporations that despise us. We have another option, and it's an option that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. showed us works: economic boycotts. Dr. King understood something that we seem to have forgotten. We don't have military might, but we have economic might. We have the power of the purse. When Black Americans collectively decide not to spend our money somewhere, It hurts. It hurts bad. The Montgomery bus boycott lasted 381 days, and it worked because Black folks stopped giving their money to a system that treated them like garbage. They walked, they carpooled, they organized, and they brought the bus company to its knees, not with violence, not with begging, with their wallets. Dr. King said, "We must develop a kind of divine dissatisfaction with the conditions that we face. We must use every constructive means at our disposal to bring about a more just society." Economic boycotts are constructive, they're powerful, and they work. The corporations know this, by the way. They're terrified of it. Why do you think they spend so much money on advertising targeted at Black consumers? Why do you think they put Black faces in their commercials, sponsor Black events, and plaster Black culture all over their marketing? Because they know that if Black America decides to stop spending money with them, their profit margins collapse. They need us more than we need them. American capitalism, at its core, runs on consumer spending. When people stop buying, the whole system starts to wobble. Prices come down, companies panic, shareholders lose money, CEOs get fired, the market responds, and Black Americans, with our $70 billion in holiday spending alone, have enough economic power to make corporations feel real pain. Imagine if we decided collectively that this Christmas we're not shopping at any major retailers. No Target, no Walmart, no Amazon, no big box stores, no corporate chains. What if we took that $70 billion and spent every single penny at Black-owned businesses, local businesses, the boutique down the street owned by the sister who went to your church, the bookstore owned by the brother who used to teach at the high school, the toy store owned by the family that's been in the neighborhood for 20 years, the restaurants, the bakeries, the gift shops, the service providers, all the people who are actually in our communities, who hire within our communities, who invest in our communities, and who don't have the stench of corporate America on them. What would happen? I'll tell you exactly what would happen. First, those local Black businesses would thrive. They'd be able to hire more employees from the community. They'd be able to expand. They'd be able to invest in better inventory, better services, better everything. That money would circulate within the Black community multiple times before it ever left. That's how you build wealth. That's how you create economic stability. That's how you make sure that when your kids need a job, there's actually a Black-owned business in the neighborhood that can hire them. Second, the major corporations would notice immediately. Their fourth quarter earnings would take a hit. Wall Street would freak out. Executives would scramble to figure out what happened. And when they realized that Black consumers had collectively decided to take their business elsewhere, they'd have no choice but to respond. Maybe they'd start hiring more Black employees. Maybe they'd start promoting Black workers into leadership positions. Maybe they'd stop funding politicians who work against our interests. Maybe they'd start acting like they actually value us as more than just walking ATMs. Third, prices would come down. This is basic economics. When demand drops, prices drop. When corporations see that Black consumers are no longer willing to pay their inflated prices, they'll lower them to try to win us back. We've seen this happen over and over again. Companies will do anything to protect their bottom line, including offering us better deals. And fourth, we'd remember our power. We'd remember that we're not helpless. We'd remember that we don't have to accept disrespect, exploitation, and oppression just because that's how it's always been. We'd remember that Dr. King was right, that economic action is one of the most powerful tools we have, and that when we move together, we're unstoppable. But here's the thing. This only works if we actually do it. It only works if we're disciplined. It only works if we're willing to make a sacrifice for the greater good. And I know that's hard. I know it's easier to just click on Amazon and have something delivered to your door in 2 days. I know it's convenient to run to Walmart and get everything you need in one place. I know that Black-owned businesses might be a little more expensive, a little harder to find, a little less convenient. I get all of that. But I'm asking you to think about what we're trading for that convenience. We're trading our economic power. We're trading our dignity. We're trading our future. We're making corporations rich while they keep us poor. And that's got to stop. Let me tell you what I'm doing this Christmas. I'm shopping exclusively at Black-owned businesses. Every single gift I buy is coming from a Black entrepreneur. Every meal I eat out is at a Black-owned restaurant. Every service I pay for is going to a Black provider. I'm not giving a dime to Target, Walmart, Amazon, or any other corporation that takes my money and gives me nothing in return. And I'm encouraging everyone I know to do the same. Is it going to be more work? Yes. Am I going to have to plan ahead and do more research to find Black-owned businesses? Absolutely. Will some gifts cost a little more? Probably. But you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it to know that my money is staying in my community. It's worth it to know that I'm supporting people who look like me, who struggle like me, who understand the challenges we face. It's worth it to know that I'm not funding my own oppression. And here's the beautiful thing. When you shop at Black-owned businesses, you're not just buying a product. You're buying from someone who has a story. You're supporting someone's dream. You're investing in your community's future. The woman who owns that boutique, she's probably a single mom trying to build something for her kids. The man who owns that bookstore, he's probably a teacher who wanted to promote literacy in a neighborhood where the schools are underfunded. These are our people. They deserve our support way more than some faceless corporation that's counting our money while refusing to count us as equals. I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying we should never shop at corporate stores again. I'm not saying we should completely disconnect from the broader economy. What I'm saying is that we need to be strategic. We need to be intentional. We need to understand where our money goes and what it's supporting. And during the holidays, when we're spending the most, when corporations are making the bulk of their annual profits, that's when our boycott would hurt the most. That's when our collective action would send the loudest message. Dr. King said, "We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. We're not going to get respect by asking nicely. We're not going to get equity because corporations suddenly develop a conscience. We're going to get what we deserve by using our economic power to demand it. This Christmas, let's demand it. Let's show these corporations that they can't have it both ways. They can't take our money and disrespect us. They can't profit off our spending and refuse to hire us. They can't fund our oppression and expect us to keep making them rich. We're done with that. $70 billion. That's our power. That's our leverage. That's our weapon. Let's use it. Let's support Black businesses. Let's keep our money in our communities. Let's show corporate America that we're not playing anymore. Because at the end of the day, they need us way more than we need them. And once we truly understand that, once we truly act on that, everything changes. The question is, are we ready to change it? This Christmas I am. Are you?